just kind of want to go over, this is just really just my introduction video of who I am, and where my entrepreneurial aspirations kind of started, and then went to tendencies, and then now we're on an entrepreneurial journey. Um, my earliest, like, I could remember since I was like a little kid, and I still know this like to heart. I wanted to own a video game designing company, but not be the guy that was designing the actual company, but the guy who just kind of gave the final okay, but also would shoot ideas to the people to build the games. Um, I believe it was this movie about like two cops that kind of like accurately depicts it, but they're in like a room and they're like pitching their video game idea, but the other guys on the end who said yes or okay or sure was where I wanted to be on the end, and then shoot the ideas back so that it'd be fully designed and fleshed out. Um, my entrepreneurial tendency started when I was very young. Uh, when I could, go outside by myself and do my own thing. That was probably around like second, third grade ish. I was basically going door to door selling candies that I had got from an actual store and selling them for $1. Because at the time, I believe you can get like a whole pack of candies that came with like 25 or something like that for like $15, like $10 or something like that, like Save Mart, or I forget where it was exactly that I was getting these candies, but it was able for me to go door to door and sell them for like $1.25. And then when fall would come, leaves would be falling all over people's yards and lawn, and then I would basically just ask, can I rake your guys' lawn, clean up these leaves, and yeah, they'd let me, and I'd make a few extra bucks young, you know what I mean? And some people would be like, well, I want to wait till you finish so that I can pay you. And I'm like, that's fine, and then I finish up and get paid. I was doing that, and then my uncle had saw that, one of my other uncles, I have a couple uncles, but he saw that, and then he wanted to help me, and then he was like, I'll mow their lawns, and then he kind of upped the price, and then he was getting paid, and I was getting shortchanged, but hey, it is what it is, when you're in that entrepreneurial tendency thing, you're just all about your money and stuff like that. And then one of my other uncles had noticed that I was doing that, and he already had a job. So he just kind of was like, you know what? He had swept lots in certain areas, like big, where there's a lot of businesses like Barnes and Nobles, Targets, and stuff like that. But at the back of them, they would throw out products, seasonal products sometimes, or just products in general that they didn't need anymore. Barnes and Noble, they would throw out books, but they'd rip off the cover of the book, and you'd have the full book back there still. But he ended up bringing me a lot of products and like bags and stuff that they had thrown out. I remember one time it was these like Valentine bears. When their lips touched, their cheeks would glow like with little hearts, and then I was selling those for a pair for like $5 each, going door to door selling those. And then I remember one time he had brought me some like Christmas wreaths, and they're like just a bunch of twigs in a wreath, but it smelled like cinnamon, like really strong cinnamon, and it was already past the Christmas season, but I was like, I went door to door selling those things just off of the basis of like, hey, these smell really good, they're not, seasonal decorated, but they have a nice little seasonal feel to it. It's a wreath, I get that, and a lot of people would buy it. But when I was selling these things, I would always tell people, oh, it's for school soccer practice, or it's for school uniforms for baseball, or, I would tell them some bullshit ass lie, which was horrible, but I was doing it. And then there's a few that'd be like, it's not even that season, what the heck? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know, we're just trying to get an early start. But at the same time, it was my age that kind of was a huge variable in that, because it allowed me to get away with a lot of stuff. It was just a huge thing. As I was growing up, like, I always knew I was going to be somebody, but I didn't know exactly who I was going to be. And when I mean by somebody, like, I always knew I was going to be somebody in this world, but not to the world, but in my own world, I was going to be somebody. To myself, I was going to be somebody, not to, like, not everybody to be some huge person. It was more so for me and my satisfaction and happiness of life. Over time, I started to realize, like, once I hit, like, 6th grade, 7th grade, it was going to be business. Business was really going to be it. Like, that's really where my full strong suit was going to be. But I didn't know at all what business I was really going to be, like, operating or owning, but I knew it was going to be something. I really didn't know, like, at all what kind of business I wanted to run or have or operate. It was just more so, like, okay, I know in order to make a lot of money, I need a business. Like that was just kind of my go-to thing. But I didn't really see myself as a guy who wear a suit and tie all the time around business. I saw myself as more like a relaxed leisure shirts and jeans kind of person running business and stuff like that. But that was just kind of me. That was just kind of my mindset. And, talking to a lot of other people who were used to this idea of business, kind of saw it like as ridiculous because their formal type of business that they're used to were people in suits and ties, and I kind of wanted to switch that and flip that on its ass. But it's already being done today. Like, people are already doing that, so I'm kind of late on that ball game. But around freshman year, I got my first iPhone 4S, and I noticed that everybody, everybody was like on their phones. Like, that was a huge thing. But like, everybody was about their phone. YouTube was still that little TV icon. Facebook was becoming Facebook as what we know it is today. And then, Twitter was already there. Instagram was barely popping. Like, it just barely became something. But I noticed all these people on their phones, and I was like, what? That's so strange. And how I got my iPhone 4S was I worked at my grandmother's dog grooming shop as a bather and saved up all of my money through her. I was like, hey, I want to get this phone. Can we save up for it? She's like, yeah, no problem. It's your money. You're working for it. So that's what I did. And she was like, I'm more than happy that you're doing this. After school, I would just go straight there to her dog grooming shop and just like start helping her until close time. But during that time when I first had got it, I just kind of like a light bulb clicked in my head, and I was like, holy shit, like, this is going to be my business. Like, I'm going to figure out how to make money off of this fucking cell phone alone. I didn't know really what to call it, but today it's called social media marketing. And at the time, Facebook had just put out Facebook Business, and like, I knew in my head, I was like, dude, this is going to be it. Like, everybody's on their phones, everybody's on Facebook. It'd be so much more simpler for businesses to use Facebook to actually get in touch with their customers because they're all on their phones as it is. So I created her that Facebook business page for her Facebook, and it was just from there, that's when the idea kind of stuck and landed, and then I just decided to dive a little bit deeper into that whole social media aspect of it. I started to learn Instagram marketing and understanding hashtags is where it is. There was a lot of how-to videos on YouTube, but I didn't really come to that until like the end of everything, when I was like, all right, like, I really need to settle onto this idea. But it was, I want to say, around like my junior to senior year. I had to read this book called The Great Gatsby, and in that book it talks about the American dream, and we had to take a worksheet pamphlet, and on that worksheet pamphlet it was just a huge questionnaire, but one question like stood out to me the most, and that was, is the American dream dead? And it like sparked a huge flame in my fucking head, and I like went crazy like 2 days trying to answer that question. I already knew the answer. I was like, no, it's not fucking dead. Like, there's no way the American dream's dead. Like, there's no possible way. The American dream is all based off of opportunities that you make through the opportunity of being where you're at, and having that opportunity. So it's a lot of opportunity based, but essentially that kind of kick started my mentality of like, it's still possible for me to do something. In another video I'll kind of go around why I'm saying like it's still possible, because I grew up in a very, I would say, toxic environment, but this is just a little intro to me and where all this entrepreneurial tendencies, journey, aspirations kind of all started, and the root of all of it. I do also apologize if this video is very choppy and all over the place, but this is just kind of me. How's it going, guys?